different links into the fellow note taking and stuff. But yeah, cool. Okay, great. Nice to see you, Khalil. Good afternoon, morning, wherever you may be.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, it's night in Pakistan, so it's around 12 a.m.
All right. Well, it's kickoff time. I see Mike's in. I don't see any other council members. I know Andrew's going to be joining us a little bit later.
Okay.
But I'll just kick off since it's 7 a.m. my time here on Thursday morning. So my name is Ty Kemi. It's September the 17th. And welcome to our 21st recurring TELx Council meeting. The TELx Council is a local governance organisation within the wider Telcoin Association and has authority over and duties towards TELx operational rules, system health and social well-being. The TELx Council accepts, develops and votes on TELx improvement proposals, also known as TELxIPs, which alter or introduce new elements to TELx. The TELx Council also has the mandate to alter TELx harvesting rules and is responsible for representing the and informing the community in matters pertaining to TELx. These bi-weekly meetings provide several critical functions to our governance. They help provide transparency to our community and give structure to the forum, provide the authors of TELxIPs the ability to present their proposals to the council and the community, and allow the council members and community to review, debate and refine these proposals, to eventually reach a consensus and then elevate a proposal to an approval vote through Snapshot. These meetings also provide a medium for regular TELx ecosystem updates, ensure consistent communication between council members and the community, and allow the community to directly engage in a Q&A session with the council members. In summary, we carry out the following required duties: to introduce, alter and enforce TELx operational rules, to plan, finance and coordinate the implementation of improvements to the TELx system and facilitate the maintenance and construction of the TELx website, to regulate the flow of TEL issuance through TELx and help create new liquidity pools in order to support the wider TEL ecosystem so that TEL can be harvested by all liquidity miners. And finally, to inform liquidity miners and the wider TEL community of the activities and outcomes related to TELx and results from any snapshot votes. Participation in these snapshot votes are a mandatory requirement for all TELx council members, and in order for a proposal to move forward, there needs to be a 5 out of 6 majority vote, and all 6 members must vote within 7 days from the start date of a proposal being uploaded to Snapshot. So for today's meeting, I'll be hosting, and we'll now have a short recap from our last meeting from Will. Are you there, Will? I can see a W.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, over to you, Will. Thank you. Do you want to do the recap, Will? I can't hear you. Okay. I'll give you a...
So we have to, Will, your mic's not working.
Hey, gentlemen. I think recap-wise, we could probably just jump into the agenda. I think the agenda has been pretty consistent for the last like 3 or 4 different calls, unless there's something specific somebody wants to reference from the last call. But
Okay, fair enough, Andrew. Yeah, good to join. Okay, well, the first real item on the agenda is the Uniswap Airdrop script update.
How's everyone doing? Oh, good.
Hi, Ines. Hi, Gio. Marcus, are you online?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, okay. Can you give us a brief update on where we are with the airdrop update script?
Absolutely. Yes, it looks like Will said that his mic was not working. So that would be the reason for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so essentially the reward script is, I believe, just probably one issue away from completion. There was basically last week, so last time I discussed what the script needs to do because of the Uniswap V4 architecture. Sort of, it's called lazily updating each entry only when each position is changed. So anytime like increase of liquidity or decrease of liquidity happens, fees are automatically collected and baked into sort of the final. It's called the fee delta. So the script was taking that into account, and one thing that I realized, well, there were two things that were happening. One thing, I published the results to the council, and we got some feedback. There were a number of positions that were missing, and so the reason for that was, first and foremost, I was in such a rush to get the script working that I didn't put in the sort of logistical code where the checkpointing files are validated, where the block numbers are checked to be correct, and even that the pool ID was correct. It was just pulling numbers from sort of hard-coded parameters. So that was mea culpa on being rushed there. And what happened was I ran ran the script with faulty checkpoint files, and so there was polluted data across different things. So I addressed that essentially by writing a CLI for the script, so that anytime it's being run, it'll not only just run based off of what you tell it, it will go into the checkpoint files, read all of the last updates, check the positions, the block numbers, and make sure that everything is lined up before even running. So will future-proof the script for getting us the results and the positions that we need, because the chances are that we'll be running this, on a weekly basis. And that was the first thing, a really simple, like, logistical thing. Sometimes, you can kind of get away with not putting in all of those sort of guardrails, but then you open the door for mistakes, which is what happened. And then after I resolved that with the script, now we're getting all the positions, everything is reflected in the files, but there are certain conditions which they're unusual, and I've been pulled to, sort of white hat something. It's a different thing going on, so I haven't had time to look into specifically what it is, but to give the high level view of the last issue that I believe is present in the reward script is I believe it's related to precision. So the example, what should I say? The case study is, if for some of the positions, there are narrower ranges and some of them are wider ranges. But there is a case, and probably more, but where the narrower range has listed fee growth, and I'm listing a number of entries for all of the positions. So the last owner, and one thing that's, well, I'll get to that. So I'm listing the last owner, the lower tick, the upper tick, the liquidity, the fee growth for the period, and all of the times that the position was modified, and an array of liquidity modifications, and then the pool ID. This is each of the entries for all the positions. And so the case that I'm describing is where the tick range, the tick lower and tick upper, for one position that's narrower, is totally fine pulling the fee growth and performing calculations with it, which, little background, Uniswap V4 stores like tick prices with compressed with the square root of the price multiplied by 2 to the 96th, which is quite a large number. And that way, they can sort of more efficiently store some of this information without worrying about overflows and underflows. But it means that the arithmetic has to accommodate for math with 2 to the 96th, or even 2 to the 192nd power. So those are quite large numbers when you combine that with the fact that, for example, in the TELxIP pool, TEL uses 2 decimals and is valued per unit. I think, what is it, six or 7 orders of magnitude less than ETH. So we're talking 7 orders of magnitude. Incorporate the decimal differential, which ETH uses 18 decimals, TEL uses 2, so we've got 16 more orders of magnitude, and then the price. I said the price, and then the arithmetic with 2 to the 96th or 2 to the 192nd power. So when you are working with numbers that are that, far apart. One is very, very small, one is very, very large. Almost all programming languages are not built to handle those kinds of math. Essentially, you have to use libraries. I'm using what's called JSBI, and it's a different type than a number. Actually, it's called a big int. But I believe that this is what's happening because a position, for example, with a narrower tick range picks up the fee growth just fine. The arithmetic works great, but positions with larger ranges, which encompass, for example, that same range for the smaller position, will do the arithmetic and come out with fee growth numbers of 0, which tells me that it's running into the normal sort of what programming languages do is there's precision loss, usually at much smaller, orders of magnitude. So I know that is the issue. I believe it's the last remaining one before the reward script is complete. But I just have to perform this white hat thing first, which should be done today. Get back onto it tomorrow. And then as far as the hook goes, so that's my update with the script. I know that was probably a lot. But the good news is I know what the issue is. The bad news is it's an extremely nuanced one that is not the most straightforward to address, or at least even debug.
Okay, so just on that, I got a little bit lost, to be honest, in the technical aspects of what you were saying, Marcus.
Sorry.
But I do know, because I have a full position, a position that encompasses a full range, and the fee generation and growth is negligible because it's a small position, it's a wide range, and so the fees very rarely change on a day-to-day basis.
Correct.
Which is really what you were alluding to there on the precision side of things. I think I've got 2 questions. When do you think it will be ready? Because we're now into, I believe, week 6 of our program, and we haven't had any rewards yet, which is a bit disheartening and frustrating for the liquidity providers. I know we've been getting some kind of negative feedback back on some channels with that regard, and I can understand that. So I know it's difficult to pin you down, but will this be able to be reviewed by the council by the end of this week, do you think? Or are we looking further afield again?
In short, I don't know. I'm not fully in control of my time. If I'm told, to drop this and do something else, which is what's happened this week, that obviously adds time. And so if that happens again, I don't know. But if I'm able to work on this today and tomorrow, absolutely. I think just that final precision loss issue, I know what needs to be done. But I guess.
All right. Well, I know you'll get back to it. I don't want to put you on the spot, Marcus. That's not the intent of the question. I'm just trying to give some reassurances and visibility to the wider community on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, within the next few days, hopefully. The second question is, we've had some input from an independent member of the community who's produced a script that the council and yourself is all aware, are fully aware of. That's raised a question as to how the actual TEL quantity of rewards will be distributed. Now, without going into too much technical detail on the calculation, does what the conversation, I don't know if you've been across it over the last 24 hours, but is that aspect being handled so that from each position, from all the consolidations, all the information you have, is there a clear way of deciding the percentage of rewards that get airdropped to liquidity providers, basically?
So my understanding of the spec is that there is a full sort of rewards pool for the period, a rewards pot, if you want to think of it that way. And then the sort of determination of how many rewards an LP is owed will be their pro rata share of all fees generated.
Because the fees are paid in two quantities. They're paid in a quantity of ETH and assuming we're talking about the TEL ETH pool.
Yes.
Fees are paid in a quantity of ETH and a quantity of TEL, and that's not always equal depending on the position and the bias of the trade that's actually being swapped that's generating the fees.
That's correct, yes. Sorry, I'm like facing the wrong way. Yes, that's correct. And so the when I say fees owed that are generated, they use a common denominator. So it's different for different pools. I just sort of went with the denominator that seemed to make more sense. It shouldn't matter because it's just based on the current price. But so currently for the TEL ETH determination, TEL is the denominator. So whatever fees in TEL, those are great. Well, not always exactly half like you said, but that is half of the consideration. And then whatever fees that were earned that are denominated in TEL, in ETH, just converted to TEL based on the current price.
Can you define current price? Is that the price at the time of the swap, or the current price at the time of the end of the period?
At the end of the period. Yes, so everything is sort of bundled at the end of the period. That can be changed. It's a relatively easy thing to change. But if you wanted the fees to be at any, no, that can't be done at the time of the swap. It could only be done because fees are in the Uniswap V4, they're only collected at time of liquidity modification. So the two options would be, we can perform the denominator conversion at the end of the period, given the price, whenever that is, Wednesday at 0 UTC, or for each position you could do it at the time that liquidity modifications were made. For each time, I would probably recommend at the end of the period, just for simplicity, but it is a
Marcus, could we also have a third option? Because one of the, talking points, I can't remember who brought it up, but could we not potentially split the wards 50-50 and then just try to keep it as simple as possible and just say, okay, hey, for this period, there was X amount of TEL that was, earned, and there was X amount of, asset 2 ETH that was earned, and then just divide it, TEL divided by TEL, ETH divided by ETH, and we'll just split the rewards 50-50 divided by those tokens. Because I think the point that Ty is trying to get at with that question is where do we have that price, right? Where if that price fluctuation at the start of the week or the period drastically changes towards the end, there's going to be a huge discrepancy of where that balance of rewards go between the start and the end of that period.
Yes. I think, the spec should be outlined before I start implementing, but yes, we can make that change if desired. So what is that? I guess I wasn't aware that the rewards pot could be in 2 different tokens to begin with.
Well, that's just the way that the fees come out, and this was something that came up like a couple days ago through these emails. And again, I totally agree that the spec should be written out properly, but for a lot of us, we're not as technical into this, so we're learning as we're going a little bit too. So apologize for trying to adjust on the fly, but at the end of the day, I think what we want to do is put something forward that is the most equitable and fair for everybody. And also from your perspective to kind of keep things simple. So if you don't have to do like a time weighted or a price weighted average, or looking at it at times of swaps, and all we do is tabulate and collect at the end of the period. Okay, well, there was 1 million fees in TEL, there was whatever 3 ETH, and whatever everybody's pro rata in those assets. Like again, like this could be open to everybody in the council to further comment and deliberate on. But again, when I was reading through those emails, I thought that was more of like that keep it simple mentality, where it would be less work on the back end. Like essentially when it's being pulled from the script, I would assume that you would see those values in those assets. Because at the same point too, like somebody brought up the idea as well. It's like, okay, well, that's okay for TEL and ETH, but what do we do for the USDC and EMXN pool? Because there's no TEL there. How do you denominate in TEL? But
no, I was denominating in USDC for that pool. But
okay.
Yeah, but you're exactly right though. We have all that information stored for each position, so it's it can be laid out that way.
I think also there's an aspect of people want to check that they're not being unfairly rewarded against, if you see what I mean. And if you've got a price that's a little bit kind of not transparent because it was at the end of the period at a certain point in time, it's difficult for people to actually get that price. Whereas on the 50-50 split, it's easy because you can look at all the detail in the airdrop or the detail in the supporting scripts, and then calculate for any position what your percentages are of total ETH and total TEL, and then you can kind of work out what your rewards are. So
I hear you.
I agree. It's simple, and to me that seemed a fair and equitable way of doing it.
Yes, absolutely. No, that's a fair point. It is worth pointing out, the code is open source, the script is totally open source. All of everything will be published on
but how many of the community can read code?
Okay, well, that's a consideration, but it can always be verified. Is all I'm pointing.
Yeah.
So, but we'll line it up so that it's So 2 different fee denominators, keep those separate. Perform the pro rata in 2 different denominators. You got it.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I just want to open it up to everybody too. Like I think Ty, I think we sound like we're aligned on this, but I just again want to open it up to everybody else on the council and potentially gauge from the community what they think as well too. Like I don't want to make the decision right now. I just saw it in the emails that were going back and forth, and I thought that was a fair way to do it. That's all I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, anybody else got any comments on this? It's a pity Will has lost his mic because I know he was proposing an alternative.
Can you hear me, guys?
Oh yeah, hi Will.
Cool. Hi guys. Sorry, I had some problems. Well, I thought that maybe we could. We were going back and forth by email with the community member that's proposed a script for the calculation, and I was wondering if we could take an average ratio during the period to convert the ETH into TEL and see what the total amount of fees was. But I guess a 50-50 is fine because in the end, it won't make any difference. I mean, if you have, what I'm trying to say is that if we go 50-50, it will, in the end, come the same as if we determine how many ETH is equivalent to how many TEL and do the calculation from there. So I think 50-50 is fine.
Okay. Anybody else, Mike?
No, I agree with you guys. I think that's the way to go.
Okay, cool. Going once, anybody? Okay, Marcus, I think you can take that as a clear direction of intent then.
Yeah.
And that'll make it hopefully a little bit easier for everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
You got it.
All right. So let's move on then to your second point, which is the hooks for calculation of rewards and also for the voting rights, because we do have an election on the horizon now, sometime in November, I think, the council elections, and we need those hooks to be in place, fully tested and working by then.
Yes. Sure. So I'll just dive into the hook update then.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I, on Sunday, spent the entire day on the V4 hook. The background was that I had no internet on Sunday, and I had devoted the whole day to working on the script. But without internet, I am not able to, run the script. So essentially what I did instead was I devoted the day Sunday to working on the hook. And so I was coming back to it with fresh eyes, which is great, important, to sort of come with a fresher viewpoint, and especially having sort of grokked the code base, sort of absorbed it and then ruminated on it is a huge upgrade generally, at least in my workflow. And so coming back to it on Sunday, I realized that the hook, as it's currently implemented, is just duplicating the state of the Uniswap position manager. And not only is it just duplicating the state of the Uniswap position manager, which is totally, why is that even necessary? It's not keeping it in sync. So which sort of reminded me why I, had to step away from it. It was a bit frustrating to look at, but when I came back to it with fresh eyes on Sunday, the plan sort of just came to me. It was like, okay, so we don't need to be duplicating the state of the position manager. The position manager state is canonical. If we are relying on its state, we should use its ledger rather than create a new one that just, copies it and mimics it. And so the approach can be significantly simplified. The implementation was using sort of like two different classifications of the duplicated state. Even further, it was sort of optimistically stored state at the creation of a position. The hook was accepting information about the position, but not actually using it, just accepting it and saying, okay, this is an unsubscribed position that we are aware of, but it's not going to be, factored into any of the hook logic itself. It's just going to be sort of an optimistic storage of that position. And then the optimistic state could be upgraded to a subscribed position by interacting with the subscriber. So the LP would have to opt in for each of their positions to participate in the program. In our last meeting, I pointed this out and I was like, what is up with this? Like, why is there two different kinds of optimistic state? It didn't occur to me then that, even duplicating the state of the position manager wasn't necessary. But when we had that discussion, the spec was clarified. So the opt-in action is actually by design. That's necessary because we want to add a step with code execution that can check to make sure that the position was staked on TELx before it's included in the program. So the subscriber option, the subscription action for the LP for each LP token is necessary and desired. So what that sort of led me to with those two considerations is that we don't need to duplicate the position manager state, but we do want to at least store the token IDs, and that can be done at subscription time. So it's a massive simplification. I've basically removed 2 hefty ledgers, one of which is optimistic position state and one is full position state, and they both duplicate the entire position state struct of the position manager ledger. So do away with all of that, and all we need to store is token IDs. And the subscription, opt-in aspect of the hook is still in place. And that was essentially my Sunday. So, and I meant to talk about this earlier as well for the rewards. But one thing that is pretty major in this is that positions can be transferred, and the ownership of any LP token can sort of slip out from underneath you if you're not aware of it. And so that has been a major consideration. I would say, many hours going into making sure that anytime liquidity of a position is updated, the owner has to be checked, because it might have been transferred. It could have been, approved. You might have. It's a standard like NFT token, right? The Uniswap V4 position. So a lot of careful consideration has gone into that, and actually, I believe that reason alone, the ownership of the token being able to change, was the whole point why the unsubscribed optimistic state existed in the first place, and it was pointed out in the first audit. So massive simplification here, and we're still handling all of the things. The opt-in subscription, improved state, just much less complex. Store only the token IDs and rely on Uniswap V4, and always perform external calls to Uniswap V4 to make sure that the owner is as expected, or just update it when it has changed. And I would say that would be my update for Sunday there.
Okay, well, I never realized, but once you mention it, it makes sense that the NFT actually can be transferred. So you can send your NFT, your liquidity position, to another wallet. That's really what you're saying, yeah?
That's exactly right. And what's interesting about Uniswap V4, when I was making the considerations for that, or making the code to handle those situations, it occurred to me, I was like, well, I wonder if the fees are collected at the time of transfer. Because if you were to transfer your position to somebody in Uniswap V4, if you collect, or if you change your liquidity at all, the fees are sort of automatically, something happens with the fees. They're either collected, and when you transfer, though, that's not the case, which was interesting.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, all right. From your description, I'm very optimistic, Marcus. But will all this be ready in time? I suppose that's the general question I'm asking.
Sorry. Ask it one more time.
Will the development and everything be ready in time for the elections, or is that like a critical path item that we can't have the
yes.
We can't have the elections until we've got all the hooks in place and working? That's really the dependency.
Absolutely, yes. Yep. No, that's it was a bit of a complicating factor, but no, I think in general, most of what I've described has been updated, or at least written out in English, and so the last steps are, as far as the hook goes, to finalize it and test it. And same with the rewards. I mean, it's easy for me to say, oh, both of these projects are, one commit away from completion, especially when, at any time I might be pulled to do something else. But in general, that kind of is the state of everything. So that would get us to audit, I mean, within 2 weeks and complete by the election. Absolutely, I would say.
Yeah, okay. Because all this stuff will have to be audited again, won't it?
Sorry, I accidentally muted. Yes, that's correct.
It will have to be audited, yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Any questions from anybody so far on Marcus's update before we move on to the next item? Going once, twice. Okay. Thank you, Marcus. Very good. My head's spinning a little bit, but let's move on to Khalil on the TELxIP UI design.
Hi guys. Yeah, so I have few updates, and I have worked on two things. First one is the landing page that Leo gave me. I guess one of you have designed that, which was the Telcoin Association.org part, and I have also started with the new design. So let me go through first for the landing page. Let me show my screen. So guys, can you see my screen? Guys, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, you're good.
All right. So yeah, this was the page that Leo gave me developed on the Next.js. So this page is currently the part of the .org website, and currently it's on my local host. So it's not, in the production, and I'm not sure it is complete because I don't have the idea that is there anything that needs to be added on this page. So if you guys have any idea about that, so you can give me anything to add or update on this page. Another thing is about the new design on the TELx. So I guess Leo has the access to new designs. I'm not sure any of you guys have access to the Figma. So if you guys have any kind of comments or you want any kind of change on the design, then you can tell us, and then we will change on the Figma.
Yeah,
And,
I don't have access to Figma myself. I don't think any of the council has.
Yeah. So yeah, there are few people on Figma. So yeah, that's it. And here it's looking something like this, and I guess it's looking amazing. It's not fully complete, and there are few adjustments and details that I'll be working with, and then we'll be pushing once every page is done. So I just want to work on this page, which is our landing page. So I guess in the old one we have few things like we have the password. So yeah, we have this section powered by. So in the new design we don't have this section. We have another new section on the new design, which is the active pool. So we are showing first 4 pools on the landing page, and we have the button to go to the pools page. So if you click on this page, view all pools, then it will take us to the pool page, which is this one. So on this page, we will be having all the pools. And after that, what Josh have done, he have created another page which is called portfolio, and he put all the information which was on sidebar. Now it's on the portfolio page. So here is the portfolio. I guess it's still in progress, and Josh might be updating this. So, but it seems something like this. So we have claimable rewards. We have our LP tags, and all these on the portfolio page. So we can claim, we can view the pool, and some other information as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, these are the things about the new design, and I have few questions like when we are going to deploy this page, which we have built, and if if any changes you might want, you can send me on email or direct message on Slack if you are connected. And another thing that if you still want any kind of change on the new design on the TELx, you can definitely tell me anytime before we start, building on the coding side. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Khalil. Yeah, from our point of view, we're really only interested in the TELx side, not in the general association website rework. But obviously the two have to go hand in hand because of the branding and the flow, the whole look and feel. My question really is, when will the TELx pages be ready for our sandbox review?
For the review?
For TELx, yes.
Yeah, so the complete design, it can take up to 3 weeks, I guess, maximum 4 weeks, but I will try to do as quick as possible because in the TELx we are using some kind of functionalities, APIs, so that's why it may take some, like 3 to 4 weeks. But if we have any kind of static website where we don't have any kind of functionality, then we do these things very quickly, like updates from old design to new design. So yeah, that's it.
Because the sooner, obviously, the sooner we get a chance to have a good review and a good look and feel of how it all hangs together, it'll be at that point we'll be able to give you final feedback, and you can then polish off any outstanding issues. So yeah, that would be good if we could make it within 2, possibly 3 weeks for us to have a play with it before it then gets published.
Sure. I will definitely try to do it as quickly as possible. And once I'm done from my side, then I will deploy it to the staging environment, and then I can send you the link for the staging, and you can take a look on the actual website on the staging environment. And if you have any kind of question, confusions, or anything that you want to be in some particular way, then definitely you can give me the feedback.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Khalil. Any other questions from the council on this topic? Okay.
Yeah.
Great, Khalil.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that the Figma design and the coding, the actual coding of the website, are 2 separate things. So my understanding is that you would like to get feedback on the Figma design before you start coding it. So how about maybe you can provide us some screenshots of your Figma work so we can discuss on it and give you feedback before you actually start coding. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. That's the correct thing. So yeah, before we do the coding part, so it's better to we go through the design, because it's easy to update things on the design rather than on the code. So yeah, that is 100% correct. And
Yeah,
another thing I forgot to update you that will you told to add, I think, the position of the token instead of LB token. So yeah, I guess I replied that email, and yeah, that's absolutely doable, and I will definitely do that part and will update you on that.
Cool. That's great to hear. Thank you, Khalil. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Great point, Will. Thank you.
Another thing that I guess Leo has the access to Sigma, so I will tell you that he can provide you the exactly design or the screenshot or something like that that you can review and give us a feedback.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Khalil.
All right.
All
Any
right.
questions for me? Yeah.
I don't think so, no. Okay, moving
right.
on. Okay, thanks, Khalil. Moving on to the next item, which is the TELx Storm collaboration. And I see Gio has been waiting patiently there online. So, Andrew, Gio, anybody got an update on how our collaboration is going forward?
Yes, I have an update. Thank you, Ty. Good evening, everyone. Let me share my screen here. I'm going to open up our Notion, which is where we track all of our projects. Okay, on TELx University, we've evolved quite well. What I'm looking for in this meeting, as discussed at our previous session, is feedback points on the structure of the curriculum. There are a few ways we can go in that direction, the MVP versus the ideal scenario. Would also like to discuss rewards and incentives for completing our tracks, and then ultimately what metrics that we're tracking to measure our success. And this board here can be shared. Andrew is already here, and anybody else that needs access, happy to give it to you. So in general, it goes over the mission of TELx University, then it goes directly into the structures and modules. We're going to go with School. School is a platform that is quite well known for creating courses, managing communities, and doing some cross-marketing within communities. So it's a growth engine within itself. So at the moment, the outline that we have is 3 tracks. The first one is the Explorer track. This would be the beginner module, which goes into the fundamentals of Telcoin, because we want to start by leading with the fact that this is more than just a liquidity play. It's really becoming a participant in the Internet of Money and kind of our grander mission. Then it goes into the basics of DeFi liquidity. What I meant earlier about MVP versus ideal is we can get started quite quickly by linking to pre-existing content that's already out there. But the ideal scenario is for us to create our own really custom Telcoin version of these kind of common tutorial videos. So it really is targeting ultimate beginner's life, everything from what is a liquidity pool to explaining IL, explaining rewards. And what you see highlighted here is some feedback that we got from Zach. Zach is our kind of DeFi expert on the team. He's heavy into liquidity pools. This is really his focus. So he added these portions that are highlighted. And then again, happy, really welcome feedback from all of you. I know in our last session, there were a couple of you that were generous with your offer to participate in the production of these modules. And then that beginner explorer track really gets them started on TELx, step-by-step tutorials on how they can enter into their first liquidity pool, all of the risks, rewards, walking them through everything from creating a wallet to funding it. And then again, you see these highlighted points that were added by Zach. And then incentives, by completing that track, they would get an NFT, they would get a small reward boost. This is open to input from you all. The second module is the builder track. It's what we consider intermediate. This is where they're getting into different kind of advanced pool mechanisms, greater understanding on where the liquidity is coming from, the depth of rotation, and you could all read through this on your own time. But there are a lot of layers to these modules. There are a lot of assets that we'll need to create. Is the ultimate kind of rollout that I planned for Q1 is really this full track with all of the details, all of these modules created really in a best-in-class way with a great user experience. And then again, it goes into governance and incentives, and then again, Telcoin in action, right? And then the top tier is what we're calling kind of the governor. These naming conventions are also open to feedback. And this is really where they're getting into the depths of higher level liquidity providing, and they're becoming really ambassadors of the future of TELx. They would have participation rights and kind of roadmap alignment, which is why we're calling them governors. And then the incentives here, it's everything from kind of increased weighting on the governance side, access to or kind of a white list to advanced access to special liquidity pools. And then we have, this is kind of what I thought about maybe an optional expansion, which would be a developer track. This is really kind of next level, which would require involvement from some of the more tech savvy guys that are probably on this call. And then ultimately how we roll this out. The first phase, which I'm planning for Q4, and yes, Q4 is only 2 weeks away. So sometime within the month of October, I would like us to at least launch an MVP to start generating some awareness. So at that point, it's really a fact gathering mission. We're getting data. We're seeing how students are using TELx University. We're looking at ways that we can refine the UX. And then the full scale rollout would be in Q1, starting out the year with a complete TELx University from beginning to end. And then phase 3, which would be Q2 of the new year, this is where we're going with a more really targeted, localized campaigns, meaning TELx University will be translated into all of the local languages of the regions we're trying to penetrate, where we're integrating with kind of the MNO onboarding flows, because the main kind of benefit of this TELx University is it really ties into everything else we're doing on the growth side. And you'll see as we get into the incentives and engagements, you'll see how it really feeds the Telcoin ecosystem as a whole. And then in terms of distribution in general, of course, social media campaigns, the website where TELx University will live across our ecosystem. We're planning some co-marketing sponsorship campaigns. We want to build relationships with DeFi protocols. So we were coming up with some unique scenarios where we can get them involved in a giving type of way, where we're not just asking for connection to their ecosystems, but we're inviting them to either be guest professors on some of the advanced modules that we have, or just any kind of co-marketing, co-sponsorship that we can create with these protocols that we want to be connected with anyway. And then on the incentives and engagement side, as you see, like Zach really put in what he, as a quite active liquidity provider, would think is like an ideal scenario on providing liquidity on TEL. And these are the impact metrics that I kind of identified. I mean, the main thing is acquisition, right? The first thing we want to do is we want to get active participants to start creating this liquidity pools. And then once we have them, we want to activate them, right? We want to keep them engaged. We want to keep them in ecosystem. And then retention. We don't want them to go anywhere. We want them to be ambassadors of the Telcoin ecosystem. So then, any other metrics that you all have input on that would just ensure that we're measuring for success. So this is really a solid foundation that we have to start with. Any input that everybody here has, we'll implement it. And then the next step really is to get into course creation, start creating these modules, build out this platform on School. You can visit this site when you have a chance. It's a quite cool program there. And the objective today was to align not only with Andrew, he asked to be presented, but to just get feedback on you all. How do you feel about this direction? Is there any input that you have at the moment that we can start applying?
Thanks, Gio. That's there's a lot of detail there. Wow springs to mind. That's really putting TELx at the real front runner for the TEL ecosystem. If we achieve everything that's laid out there, that will be truly amazing. I'm very excited about this huge initiative.
Yeah.
I'll have to obviously spend some time going through it and a little bit of thought behind it. So I'll reserve my comments till after that. But has anybody else got anything to say?
I was just going to say, echo your comments. I know, Ermias, we've been talking back and forth in the background about this. The template is amazing, the work that you guys have put into it. But I think we just got to jump on a call and have a working session, kind of the council and the Storm team to continue pushing this forward and just make sure we're all aligned on kind of the structure, the layout, and all that kind of stuff and timing. But this, when I initially looked at it, it was to Ty's point, just like a wow effect. It's just okay, yeah, you guys are putting a lot of work into it, and there's a lot of detail. There's probably a few things, like I mentioned to you, that just a tweak on certain aspects of it. But I think us getting together, as a group, and going through it, that'll go a long way as well. So hopefully in the next maybe week or two, we can try to schedule something where we can all get together and do that, and then keep this train going.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm really enjoying putting it together. It's one of my favorite projects of everything that we're working on. So excited for that next session where we dive into the details. Just put an actionable roadmap that we can actually commit to and get this thing out there.
Yeah, I think that's coming over, Gio. How excited you are about it, just with the broad detail you've got in there already is fantastic. Yeah, the content. Hopefully, we'll be able to put the content in. I think the timelines are quite ambitious in my feel, but depends on how much everybody can devote to it. But yeah. I can see the finished article and it's great, so we'll certainly, it's got my full support and attention on it, and I'm sure other council members will echo that as well.
Yeah, and it's always something we can iterate on, right? Even if the 3 tracks just have 2 to 3 courses, right, where they can just get started, and then as we see, get the feedback, get the data, we can evolve from there. So it doesn't need to be 100% complete before we get it out there, because we need to start generating awareness, driving traffic to it. That's an exercise within itself, right? So
it'll be a few months before we get to the governor section, but that's cool. Anybody else, any comments on this Gio's presentation? Thanks, Gio, for the patience as well.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, don't have any comments, but I just want to thank Gio for the work done. It looks fantastic. So I guess we'll just have to review it thoroughly and give feedback about it. Thank you so much, Gio.
Lovely. Thanks, Will.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next item, which was I know we're kind of pushing our time, but we'll probably go over budget and treasury updates. Anything, I suppose, from Andrew on that one? That was an action item from last time on you, Andrew.
Yeah, I did. I'll be honest, I've been backlogged with my day job a little bit more than usual lately.
What?
I know, how dare they? But I did pull some stuff, and I did try to clean it up from the council safe. What I do need to just add is kind of the adjustments from the liquidity provisions, but I'll try to get that out to the rest of the council by the end of this week, just to review. But it's really just more of me pulling the information from the blockchain and just putting it into a little bit more of a readable format for us for accounting purposes. That's really all that I was trying to do. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to touch on, Ty, but yeah, for me, it was just more about getting our ducks in a row and understanding, what our allotment is for, or was for year 2, and how is that being dispersed.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, yeah, there's such a lot going on for us at the moment. I haven't really thought. I suppose I was waiting on the spreadsheet to really get a feel for where we are, where we stand, and and that, but that will come out. So yeah, no, I've got nothing more to add on that fact. Okay, anybody else on the budget? Mike, Matt, Will? Okay, let's throw the meeting open now to the general Q&A. Does anybody from the community have any points, questions, comments they'd like to add? No, nothing there. Nothing in chat from Derek. Okay. Plum, amazing work. Geo and Storm. Very good. Thanks, Plum. Okay, I just have one kind of final comment then that was on the agenda, which was Will has raised the spectre of MEV robots kind of working on our ecosystem on the platforms. Now, I didn't know too much about MEV. I'd heard the term. MEV stands for maximal extractable value, which is usually a bot that tries to front run transactions to try and effectively get better prices and do different things. I don't know how much of a threat this is to our ecosystem, but maybe Will can step in a little bit. I know I'm putting him on the spot here because it's a topic that I'm not that familiar with, but I know exists. But maybe, Will, you can just say a few words on what your fears and concerns are.
Yeah, so what I observed in the TELxIP Ethereum pool, like there was 3 or 4 months ago when I participated in that pool, is that there is an address that provides liquidity and withdraws it immediately after one transaction, and that just makes the most out of the fees earned by this transaction. And it's a famous MEV actor, is Jared from Subway on ETH, and well, he just makes a lot of money out of it. And I don't think he's active on Polygon or Base for the moment, so I don't think it is a concern for us at the time. But I really have no clue what we can do about it. And I guess at least he won't be getting rewards because his NFT won't be staked on TELx, so he'll be out of the rewards, but he can capture a lot of the fees in the pool, and I have really no clue what we can do about it.
Right. Okay. So it's really we have to throw that back to Grant and his team probably to. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it will be a problem that may disappear once we go on the hook side and stake the NFTs through TELx. I don't think that can be automated like a MEV bot could be. But yeah, it's something. Thanks for raising this, Will, because it is something I didn't realize until you mentioned it, how active he was on the Ethereum chain. And some of the figures that he's capturing are pretty substantial. So yeah, it's something that we just need to keep on the background, I think, and be aware of. Anybody else got anything on that or anything else before we close off the meeting? No. Oh, one item. Derek, do you want to come up?
Okay. It's not in regard to, but I'm going to answer because it was asked in chat, so I'll likely take care of it. But if anyone wants to add any, they can. The question was about fundamental news with price and all this other stuff. Again, this is, just for everybody listening, this is not Telcoin Holdings, so we don't have anything to do with the bank, and we don't really talk about price or anything else like that on these calls. This is specifically for the liquidity network. So obviously a lot of what's being talked about here is built around liquidity pools and what the TELx team is doing. I suggest if you have other questions to join tomorrow. There is a call at 4 p.m. Eastern. That is the platform and treasury call where more of those questions can be asked. But please note that specifics in regards to those items and that agenda will be posted later today. So if anybody wants to add, that's the only question that was in the chat. If there's any other comments, please feel free to share.
Okay, thanks, Derek. Thanks for that, and thanks for all the work you're doing in the background, getting these AI stuff running and helping us out with our meeting recaps and summaries and the library of previous meetings. Okay, final chance for anybody. Otherwise, we'll call this meeting to a halt.
Okay, so Boo was asking a question in the chat. He was asking
sorry.
what time will be the next meeting. I know that I asked the council if we could meet an hour later than usual to accommodate my personal life, and I didn't get an answer yet from all the council members. But I think we'll discuss it offline and share the time of the next call as soon as we know.
Yeah, I think it may be an hour later. That's the other option. It may start an hour later. But then we're actually running, and that, I'm fine with that. Personally, I'm fine. But then we run into the different time zone shifts and clocks going forward and backwards in different parts of the world. So there will be probably some upset over the next few weeks as various time zones adopt summer and winter time, etc. So yeah, just keep your eye out on any meeting agendas that get published. The start time will be on those tweets and published on Discord and different channels. So yeah, but fair enough, Boo. Good question. Thank you. Okay, well, thanks everybody. That's a huge amount of detail I think we covered today. Certainly my head is spinning, so I definitely need another coffee this morning. But just thanks to all the participants, Gio, Khalil, Marcus, who have left the room, everybody else for participating. And we'll catch up with you next time. Thanks, everybody.